Dr. James J.C. Cooley. That's right.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guest will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on The Answer. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley and his guest will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on The Answer.
A Black Man's Point of View is the newest Amazon.com #1 release and bestseller book from author Dr. James J.C. Cooley, featuring the perspective from 11 other contributing authors. In A Black Man's Point of View, Dr. James Cooley unpacks his thoughts and personal experiences about the challenges, stereotypes, and feelings of self-worth that many black men face today due to a 400-year ancestry rooted in slavery and colonization. Yet, how so many black men move forward despite this history. Most importantly, A Black Man's Point of View conveys that all men, regardless of race, creed, or color, are capable of love, respect, and dignity. Described as a map to a greater life from the heart of a man who's experienced life's misfortune and harsh conditions, James shows us how beliefs, convictions, and a healthy mentality can help propel a life worth living. A must-read for all. Order your copy of A Black Man's Point of View by author Dr. James J.C. Cooley today from Amazon.com or wherever books are sold.
Yeah. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Yeah. James J.C. Cooley.
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Wow, it is 363 health. So we got Dr. Michael Mantell here, but I tell you, we're gonna hold off on that because we're gonna bring Todd in. We're gonna lock all the platforms in at the same time, and then we're gonna do the formal introduction. Todd, let's do it.
It's that time. It's your life. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. Yeah.
Hello. Welcome to the James Cooley Show. Welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley. And as you know, it's Tuesday, 363. Yeah. And I've been missing this guy the last couple of Tuesdays. But guess what? We got Dr. Michael Mantell back today. And we got another absolutely fantastic show. How you doing, Dr. Mike? How you doing today, sir?
Doing great. And I have missed being in real life, so to speak, with both of you, Michelle and you, James, of course. And it's good to have you back. And we move forward in real life, so to speak. I say so to speak because this is real life, but it's, you know what I mean.
Yeah. How you doing, Dr. Cooley? How you doing?
I'm doing good, doing good. It's glad to be back. Glad to be back.
I am excited about this returning guest. He always brings so much knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And guess what? He is reloaded and ready to educate us again. So, whichever platform that you guys are watching us on or listening to us on the radio, whether it's E360 television, Transfer TV, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Rumble, over 80 something other platforms. Welcome to the show. If you listen to us on the radio, AM 1170 The Answer, FM 96.1 San Diego, AM 660 The Answer, Sky in Dallas. Welcome to the show. And if you want to be part, let's go to the comments. Ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. Michelle, can you do the honors and introducing the title of the show, purpose of the show, and introduce this absolutely fantastic guest?
Most definitely. So it's 360-degree Health Day, and the title of today's show is Resilience in the Face of Disaster. And we're welcoming back with our co-host, Dr. Michael Mantell, and our host, Dr. James Cooley. We're welcoming back Dr. Steven Sideroff. He's an internationally renowned psychologist, consultant, and author. He's going to discuss how to manage emotions and find clarity in crisis, the role of community and connection in building resilience, techniques like gratitude and mindful breathing to restore balance, and why resilience is about thriving, not just surviving. So again, Dr. Sideroff is an internationally renowned psychologist, consultant, author, and professor at the UCLA Geffen School of Medicine, who has established innovative training and treatment programs around the world. He has hosted summits, interviewing world leaders in longevity, resilience, and leadership. He has published pioneering research in brain and behavior. He is a thought leader called on to speak on his groundbreaking approach to resilience, peak performance, and transformational psychology. His book, The 9 Pillars of Resilience, The Proven Path to Master Stress, Slow Aging, and Increase Vitality. Hey, audience, is there for you to purchase and learn a little bit more about this topic. Please welcome back to the show, Dr. Steven Sideroff.
Thank you, Dr. Michelle, Dr. James, and Michael. Dr. Michael, appreciate being here.
It's an absolute pleasure having you back on. And I tell you, due to some of the things close to where you are at and where we are at up in Temecula, there are some issues over the last 3 weeks, and it's kind of threw everybody in a rumble, especially with the fires and all of those things that are happening up there, and lack of insurance and other things. But fortunately, they have people like you, Dr. Michael Mantell, that could provide words of wisdom and understanding that your current situation is not your final destination. So Dr. Sideroff, could you please tell our audience a little bit more about you, what makes you click, and what makes you click?
Well, I'll tell you what makes me click is really understanding how we click, how we function, how we operate. And through my research and work, I've realized that how we all deal with stress is such a fundamental part of living a happy and successful life. And I got to tell you, I had a firsthand experience of this over the last few weeks, because when I got back into the country I was out of the country, and I came back, and the fires were raging in my area. In fact, my neighborhood in Topanga Canyon was evacuated, so I couldn't get home. And moment by moment, literally, with each change of the direction of the winds, it was either blowing right toward my house or blowing away. So my emotions were on this roller coaster. And it reminded me of really some of my own lessons on how to deal with these high levels of stress, because, here we face this terrible disaster, and my heart goes out to all the people who were so terribly affected by this loss. But it shows all of us that this is not an uncommon experience, that it can happen to anybody. These days, these kinds of catastrophes are happening for all over the world and in every situation. So it's important to be able to handle these situations in the best possible way. And so I can share with all of you some of the ways that I managed my emotions, my cognitive thoughts as we went through this process, moment by moment, step by step, where the winds took the fires very close to my house.
Right before we came on, literally just a moment before we came on, someone who I respect a great deal on LinkedIn wrote to me and said, given what's going on in the world out in California and whatnot, how are you doing? And I said, I am doing okay. The world, that's another story.
Mm-hmm.
What goes on in the world and how I do, they may be connected, but the key is to learn that nobody is exempt, as you say. And I don't believe in playing childish games, hoping it's all going to be okay. No, very bad things happen. But with the right philosophical outlook, and we want to learn that from you, we know that we can be okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
We want to get into this a little bit. And you've written a book about resilience, which is what's called for right now. And you also write a lot about frozen beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
About frozen beliefs. What does it mean? Let's start with that. What does it mean to have a frozen belief? How do these beliefs develop?
So frozen beliefs, we are all subjected to our own. When I say frozen beliefs, I mean lessons learned in childhood. These set us up for how we handle situations as an adult. But what happens is we hold on to these beliefs for one reason is because we learned them during the earliest days of our lives when we were in survival mode. As all new organisms are, when you first are born and you're learning the lessons of life, these are all survival lessons. How do I live these are intuitive, instinctual approaches where we learn these lessons, and then it's hard to let go of them because we're so tied to them. And so as adults, we have to challenge these beliefs. I call it a growth mindset. But we have difficulty because we have loyalties to these old lessons. We have loyalties to the people, our parents usually, who gave us these lessons, who modeled these lessons. And so when I talk about resilience, one of the things I've decided is that we needed a new definition of resilience. It's not the ability to bounce back, as a lot of people say. You don't want to bounce back to where you were. You want to bounce forward. You want to learn the lessons of life. You want to learn the lessons of each challenge that you face in life so that the next challenge you handle even better.
That's very important to understand. And that just because we have what may seem like frozen beliefs, just like a block of ice, it's frozen.
Mm-hmm.
We can defrost it. We can melt it. And we have tools and approaches, psychological approaches, to help us melt our frozen beliefs and let us move through them, thrive through them. I happen to come from the rational emotive behavior therapy approach, or form of cognitive behavioral therapy, if you will. Tell us a little bit about the approaches that you recommend after you catch one of these beliefs, as soon as Dr. Cooley takes us into a break.
Yeah, we got to take a station break. I don't want to miss any of this. So, hey, Dr. Mike, when we come back from the break, can you please ask that question again? So our audience will pick it up. I'll tell you, if you want to be part of this great conversation, whichever platform that you're watching us on, all you have to do, just go to the comments, ask any question, or pick up the phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. Again, that's 1-888-344-1170. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
Dr. James JC Cooley. It's your The James Cooley Show. It's your life. That's right.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? In everything that you do.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on The Answer. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley and his guests will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on The Answer.
James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James JC Cooley. It's your life.
Hello. Welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. And I tell you, just the first segment that we was going through, all that knowledge, all that information, understanding, because Dr. Sideroff was telling you that he experienced this firsthand as well. And so he understands a lot of what in emotions that others are feeling, that are experiencing this. And he also mentioned that this is not just happening in our country, but it's happening around the world. So I say sit back, take in, listen to these two great doctors, and they're going to educate you and motivate you that, just like I said, your current situation is not your final destination. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Dr. Mike. You was asking a question right before we get to the break.
Clearly, no one is exempt. The world is filled with danger wherever we look. It always has. It always will. Living in your mind thinking, oh, everything is going to be good. It's all going to be great. No, let's get real. Bad things happen. I tend not to want to label them catastrophes and apocalypse and disasters. That's overextending it in the way I think. But what I want to get into is how you help people unfreeze their frozen beliefs about some of these disastrous things that do happen. How do we help people melt their thoughts so they can move through them?
Mm-hmm. Well, some of the beliefs and conditionings that we are stuck with include a tendency to go into the negative, what can go wrong, catastrophic expectations. And I teach people that what helps us in terms of getting through situations in life better, feeling the impact of the stress less, is when we have a positive framework, when we don't negate, deny what can go wrong, but once we think about it and have a plan for how we will deal with that, we shift into a more positive place of expectation. And the other is that a lot of us have lessons in which we have learned not to accept our feelings or to push them down or to decide that maybe they're not right to have. And so let me explain a little bit of how we get through these by sharing a little bit of how I dealt with this current disaster while it was going on. So I came back and the fire was going right in the direction of our neighborhood. We were evacuated. I was staying with a friend, and the winds kept shifting direction, sometimes toward my neighborhood, sometimes away. And I caught myself going into the catastrophic expectations. My house was going to burn down. And I would catch myself because I would say, well, there's nothing I could do about that. So that was the first thing. If there's nothing I could do about it, I don't want to dwell on something that I can't do anything about. And then I said, well, it hasn't happened yet, and there's a good chance it won't. And so I shifted into that more positive framework and hoping and praying that things will be okay. Not denying the danger, but having encapsulated it into, if it happens, I will deal with it at that time, because between now and then, there's nothing else I could do. So what I demonstrated there was shifting into the positive. What I also demonstrated is cognitive flexibility, where I took control of my thoughts rather than the outside situations driving my thinking and my feelings. Next, I dealt with my feelings. So there were all kinds of feelings going on: fear, anxiety, worry, sadness, anger. And as I have shared with all the people in my audiences, you don't want to deny your feelings, but you don't want them to get the better of you as well. So how do you do that? How do you balance those two opposites? And the way you do it is you allow for the feelings to come up and be experienced. So I felt the anger. I physically expressed that anger. I got into my sadness. I got into my fear. But then I put a stop limit on those feelings. And people say, well, how can you do that? Well, it's a learning process. Some of the things that I talk about are not like going over to the wall and just switching a switch and now you're different. No, everything that we're talking about here, just as the ways you do things has been learned over years, I'm giving an approach that takes a while to develop and train yourself. So I've trained myself to feel and express the feelings, but then let go. In the situation that I was in, shift into a place of hope and prayer, so that I moved myself into a positive mode and looked for the next piece of information to be seen and heard. So that's how I dealt with my feelings, and that's how I dealt with the negative thoughts and the fears of what can happen.
What about the role of family, friends, neighbors, social interactions? We read a lot and hear a lot about how social connections can be so healthy. How can our family, friends, neighbors be of help through these difficult times?
That's a very good question, Michael, and it's very important. So when I talked about the mental thinking, that's my pillar 5. When I talked about the emotions, that's my pillar 6. But my first 3 pillars are around relationship with self, relationship with others, and relationship with something greater, which includes community. And so first of all, I was staying with a friend who was very supportive and comforting. So it demonstrated the importance of friendships, relationships, family, particularly in times of need. And so it's important for us to be able to reach out and ask for support when we need it. We're not an island. We're not isolated. In fact, isolation is one of the really issues that many of us face today, particularly since a lot of our communication is the way we're doing it right now, remotely. So it was good to connect and be at someone's house who I loved and cared about and who cared about me. Then I made contact with the people I know in my community who stayed back and were supporting the firefighters, supplying them with food, supplying them with other kinds of things while they were doing the heavy work of fighting the fires. And I had conversations with them, so I knew what was happening right on the front lines. But I also appreciated hearing that my community was doing this kind of support. And it made me feel good to be a part of that community. So here I had two experiences in which I could really feel the sense of relationship supporting me.
What about, so people that goes into complete shock, right? Because it's happening to them in their lives, and they cannot pull away from, hey, I got to get my head right. I got to get my mindset right. I snap out of this. If I don't snap out of this, I'm going to lose everything, probably including myself and my family. Mm-hmm. What would you tell people that are still going through that right now? Mm-hmm. How would you get them to let go and release? Because you mentioned something a few minutes ago. You mentioned, said, well, hey, I ain't a whole lot I can do about this. I mean, you did everything that you could. And what would you tell people that are still holding on?
Yeah. Well, so let me answer that two different ways. The people who are still holding on, I would ask them to give themselves a 15 to 30 minute period where they step away from the situation and just give themselves an opportunity to ground themselves. And when I say ground themselves, it's take a moment, take a few breaths, and think about what's important to you in your life, what is your biggest source of support. And at the same time, I would encourage them to go into some form of relaxation process. Breathing, I like to tell people to breathe at approximately 6 breaths per minute, which is a very important breathing rate for engaging sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system balance. So find the space, create the space where you can ground yourself, breathe, and do some level of recovery, because when you're in the frozen state, you don't think clearly. So you want to give yourself that time and space simply to do a little bit of recovery so you can think more clearly about what your next steps are. But the bigger picture here is that these disasters, and they show us that it's important to be prepared. And one of the ways you could be prepared is by literally training yourself to be better able to relax and recover sympathetic, parasympathetic balance, your physiological balance. Because one of the consequences of these catastrophes, of any stress in general, is that it does impair cognitive functioning. And so if you can practice some form of relaxation so that you can more quickly recover cognitive balance and functioning, you are preparing yourself for these disasters.
Hold that thought. We got to take a station break. I want to come back. Dr. Mike, I want to get your thoughts on this when we get back as well.
You bet.
I tell you, this is so wonderful right here. Discussion need to be had right now because a lot of things that are happening in the world. And these two great doctors, psychologists, are really putting it out there. And I tell you what, if you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is go to the platform that you're watching us on, ask any questions that you might have, or pick up the phone and call Todd at 1-888-344-1170. Again, that's 1-888-344-1170. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
JC, Cooley. It's your.
Dr. James J.C. Cooley from the United States of America, and I am here to just say, first of all, I'm so happy and honored to be honored to be in the Coffee Book 2023, Unified Brain Z and the other organizations. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this collection.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guest will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego.
Listen up. It's Dr. James J.C. Cooley. Yeah. It's the James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Hello, welcome.
It's your life. It's your life with Dr. James J.C. Cooley.
Hello. Welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. And, I love Tuesdays because I get an opportunity to talk to great doctors. And you know who the guy that's behind all of this is none other than Dr. Michael Mantell. He always bring the greatest docs, not just across the United States, but sometimes we get them from overseas as well. I mean, because our job is to equip you with the understanding and knowledge of what it's going to take, regardless of what that might be, whether it's physical fitness, emotional health, all that. We bring professionals on to educate you and get you to understand that we care. These 4 doctors that I'm looking at right now, well, 3, I got put my to the side. They care. And that's why we have so much fun with the show. before we start, hey, Todd, you ain't gonna get away with this one, man. What are your thoughts on the show so far?
Really good show. I can see why you have Dr. Sideroff back on, and I loved what he said about if you fail or fall down, it's about getting up and then learning from that. It's not just the getting up part; it's learning from it so you can grow.
It's all about growing. I want to turn it back over to Dr. Mike because I know Dr. Sarah was responding to a question about, the frozen fear when people are just things are happening around them, they frozen. But Dr. Sarah mentioned that sometimes you have to take that step back. Give me 20, 30 minutes. Give me something. Relax. Hey, I want to hear what you got to say about that, Dr. Mike.
Thank you. First of all, it's a privilege, an honor for me to help put this program together every Tuesday with you and Michelle. This is just a phenomenal opportunity for our audience, which is growing and growing, to really learn and to bring the best that mental well-being tools have to offer to enhance life. That said, every day on Facebook and LinkedIn and elsewhere, I post Mantell Points to Ponder. 5 tips every day, except for Saturday, every day on how to deal with life. And today I talked about the idea that we have to change the word horrible to how. Every time I say something, this is horrible, immediately I go, this is how? How can I learn from this? You see, we have to resist this almost innate urge to reassure ourselves all the time that life is going to test us. Because that's going to backfire. Life will always test us. There is adversity around every corner, not just the fires, not just the drones in New Jersey, not just whatever it may be, floods and who knows what. Remember what Bruce Lee said? He said that we shouldn't pray for an easy life. We should pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. And that's the philosophy that I teach, that life isn't easy, doesn't have to be. We have to accept life won't spare us from adversity. But keep reminding yourselves, I have the tools and will learn the tools to deal with whatever adversity is being put in my way. And then when we have a guest like Dr. Sideroff and his wonderful book about resilience, there are the tools that we can learn and apply readily.
Wow. Speaking of the book, Dr. Sideroff, can you please tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit more about your book? What can they expect to get out of your book? I know it's fantastic. You've been talking about some of the stuff that are in there. Can you pick it up and educate us a little bit more on that?
Absolutely. And a moment ago, I said that really growth is not about going over to the wall and flipping a light switch and suddenly you're enlightened or suddenly you're able to do what you've had difficulty doing. And so in my book is not designed just to give information. It's designed to get results. And that's why I help people take these small steps that are additive. Each step builds on the last one, and each pillar builds on the last one. From my first pillar, which is our relationship with ourselves. It all stems and starts with how we treat ourselves. Are we kind to ourselves or judgmental? Are we accepting or critical? And so I take people step by step, and literally there's steps that people can take in each chapter that guides them along this path to establish a healthier relationship with themselves, being kinder to themselves, more compassionate and accepting, because when you are, it makes everything else easier in your path. But I continue with each of my pillars to address how you can develop yourself more and more along each pillar. But the key is it's a step-by-step process. And so it's also important. A lot of people have successes, But unless you own those successes, unless you take them in, and unless you acknowledge them, that's where the neuroplasticity or the changes in your brain take place. It's when you acknowledge all the hard work that you do in your life. Everybody in this audience is working hard. Every one of you is, each day you're doing what you need to be doing to get by, to move forward. Each of those steps that you take, it's so important for you to own how you're doing that, how you're meeting your commitments, so that you have more trust in yourself, which helps you then take the next step. And that's how my book works, through my 9 pillars, some of which we've already touched on.
Fascinating. And I really recommend this book. You also have a podcast now, I believe, that you are beginning to roll out. Tell us about that.
All right. Well, it's something that I'm very excited about. These days, we can't only rely on our political leaders, unfortunately. And so I'm looking around and seeing where do we need to find strength and stability and healthy leadership. And so my podcast is called Quantum Leadership, and it's about the next level in leadership. And on this program, I interview CEOs, executives, and executive coaches, all in the line of finding the qualities of good leaders and good leadership. And this means, what do leaders consider as their constituency? Is it just their stockholders, or do they also consider their customers their constituency, their employees as their constituencies, the community and the environment? And when you have leaders that see all of these as constituencies, then you begin to develop healthy leaders who care about the world, other people, the environment, as much as their own particular company. And so I just actually yesterday did my first 2 interviews for this podcast, which will be rolled out over the next few months.
That's great. Looking forward to it.
I like what you just said, because I'm a leadership guy. And I believe in everything that you just mentioned. It has to be a upper tier and a bottom tier in between everything. Meaning that your people that you're leading should be the most important thing. The people that are giving you direction, hopefully, they know what they are doing and not based on money. The stakeholders, I'm talking about the suppliers and everybody else that are providing all this. I think it has to be an equal balance between all, and a good leader, in my opinion, will know how to shuffle and understand that the people that are working for you are watching you, and you have to guide them in the right direction, because you're kind of like their mentor. And if you do something wrong, they're going to see it and they're going to know it. The people that are above you, if they are only profit driven, probably not going to have a very good company over a period of time. Might be at the time. But in the people that you're dealing with, suppliers and all that, you have to have a great relationship with them where they trust you, you trust them. It's all about trust. I know you mentioned leadership, and I get carried away when it comes to that, because that's one of the most important. I learned that my whole life, starting from the bottom, making it to the top, if you want to say that, and understanding what it requires. So we got about 1 minute before the break, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I agree with everything you said, James, and that's why we've already had a conversation of you being one of my guests on my podcast. So I'm looking forward to that. But I think for this audience, how we can transition to talk to this audience, and that is, I encourage everybody to be a leader in your own life. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be someone who's looking to lead a lot of other people, but you can lead yourself. You can take leadership principles, the principle of looking for the positive, the principle of what can I learn today so that I grow and do better the next day. You can take a lot of these leadership principles, having compassion, and you can apply them in your own life for greater resilience.
You missed something. We got to take a break. But every day should be, in a leader's or in anybody's life, should be a day of learning something new and being able to apply that for the betterment of others. You know, I tell you, this conversation is so great. We got to have this doc back on again. Segment, but I want him back, Dr. Mike. I want him back. We got to have him back. Well, we're going to take a station break. If you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is go to the platform that you're watching us on, or pick up the phone and call Today at 1-888-344-1160. 1-888-344-1170. And that's also K Scott in Dallas, KTBQ in San Diego, and all over the world. So I tell you what, it's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
With Dr. James J.C. Cooley.
There's much.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore them or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guests will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth.
In this life you are gonna grow, but there's things in this world that you gotta know. To be the best that you can be, you wanna grow big into a strong tree. To be who you're created to be, the one who's gonna leave a legacy is you. But you got to have these 4 C's. Create, collaborate, then you commit with confidence. Create, collaborate, then you commit with confidence. It's the 4 C's.
Let's go. It's the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. All right. It's your life. Yeah. Your life. That's right.
Hello. Welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I tell you, Dr. Mike, I am thoroughly enjoying this conversation with this great guest. And as I mentioned, going to the commercial break, we got to have him back on. If I know he's busy, if his schedule allow him We would love to have him back on. What are your thoughts on that, Dr. Mike?
Oh, absolutely. No doubt. We want you to become a regular with us. You have so much to offer, especially as we begin to realize more and more and more that people can learn to deal with adversity by not holding on to these rigid, demanding beliefs. By they don't have to think things are horrible and awful and terrible. They're bad. That they don't have to convince themselves, I can't stand it, I can't bear it, I can't tolerate it, when actually I just don't like it. And I don't have to create anxiety. Living with concern is psychologically healthy. And Dr. Sideroff certainly has a way of being able to teach people how to achieve that. So definitely want to hear more next time.
Well, Dr. Sideroff, I have a question. Sometimes when we face tragedies, disasters, such as the California fire issues, sometimes we are on autopilot. We want to take care of everybody. We want to, like I said, be the leader for those who may not be strong, especially if you're a father or a mother, or you want to protect your children. But when do you take a step back and actually say to yourself, I need some professional help to deal with this?
Mm-hmm. Very good question, Michelle, because I come across parents a lot and other people, not just parents, who are always doing for other people. And they come from their hearts and they come from a good place, but they exhaust themselves. They wear themselves out. We don't have unlimited amounts of energy. We have to pay close attention to how we use this energy. And if we are always putting energy out and not restoring our energy, we are going to burn ourselves out. So there needs to be the appropriate balance between taking care of others and taking care of ourselves. It really starts by taking care of ourselves. No one else is going to do that. So we each in our own lives have to find time, place to restore our energy. I'll say one other thing about this that's so important. I use the word acceptance. I say acceptance is the lubricant of recovery. So many of us, so much of the time, focus on things that we don't have any control over, and we get worked up about that. It could be in politics, it could be in corporations, wherever it is. One of the things that's so important is going into a place of acceptance around things we don't have control over. Acceptance doesn't mean I like it. It simply means this is reality. I have other things I can use my energy for that are more important than sitting here and worrying about this or that. So that's something very important for people to realize. You have a limited amount of energy. Make sure you're clear on whether you have your priorities right around using that energy.
You mentioned
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Real quickly, you mentioned acceptance. I think that is so incredible because when you have exhausted all of your means, I'm talking about, and there's nothing else that you can do, I'm talking about that's in your power. Yeah, turn it over. I turn it over to God. I mean, I have accepted that, but there's so many that won't do that, and they are going to try and stress out and cause other issues and concerns. Dr. Mike, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, acceptance is the bedrock of living a mentally healthy life. Not liking, as Dr. Sideroff said, I don't like when bad things happen, but I accept them. But I want to go a step further. I don't teach people, I'm sure Dr. Sideroff would I hope would agree with this, that when all else fails, use acceptance. No, start with acceptance. And one step beyond that is gratitude. I'm supposed to be grateful that I lost my house in the Pacific Palisades. If you want to live healthy, find a way to say, I don't understand his reasons. I don't understand what's behind the curtain, but ultimately, I believe There's something to be grateful for behind all this. That takes a lot of faith. And I believe that that's an extension of this acceptance. Say thank you as many times as you can. Go to bed tonight thinking of 3 things that you're grateful for that happened today. Wake up tomorrow morning and think of three things that could happen that you might be grateful for. Turn yourself into a person of gratitude and watch, no matter what happens, you're able to accept, you're able to thrive through, grow through, and learn through.
Real quickly, we got about 30 seconds. Dr. Sideroff, if people want to reach out and get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Well, they can reach me. They can go to my website, drstephensideroff.com. On that website, I have a resilience assessment that they can take and derive their personal profile for their 9 pillars of resilience. I also have free audio programs, a lot of information on my website, drstephensideroff.com.
Hey,
Go to it. It's a great one.
I like to thank you, Dr. Sideroff. Come on, Dr. Mike, you're my man. Thank you. I like to thank Dr. Michelle Cooley for putting together another great show. I like to thank our viewers and listeners for tuning in to the James Cooley Show. Always dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. It's your life, and we'll see you.
That's right. That's right. Dr. James JC.